So, yeah, you can have I'll have a strap to hand, but basically the reason that I mentioned having a strap is only for one thing, which will be these cow face arms, but that's also going to be taken as part of your flow. So the first thing is whether the strap is useful for you. The second thing is whether you want to come out of that flow to pick it up and get yourself in. Otherwise, of course, you can just hold the hands wherever they get to, hold onto your clothes, whatever it is. So it's not absolutely by no means vital, but you just might want to have it. And again, we're going to be moving. We'll be sitting for a bit, then we'll move out of it, then we'll come back to sit for a few minutes, move out, come back to sit. So again, if you want blocks, pillows, whatever it is, and generally speaking, each time you come back to sit, you can sit however you like. So as long as you're comfortable, as always, that's the most important thing. So then, shoulders. Two parts of it, if you like, that we're gonna look at. The first of it is that ball and socket joint. So you've got the humerus, the upper arm bone, which has a ball on the end, which fixes or slots into the socket at the shoulder. So if, for example, you hold your arms kind of out to the side and circle them, in theory, that's that kind of ball and socket rotation. So I always think of it as a bit like a computer joystick. So that's your kind of rotation element. And then on the back of your body, on the back of your ribs, you've got your scapula, your shoulder blades. So one on each side, that's the spine in the middle. And if you're looking from the back, you've got a straight edge alongside the spine and then like a little triangle, tips down at the bottom. And they're not fixed to the back of your ribs. There's a little bit of space. So in theory, they should be able to move and glide over and around the back of the body. But if we don't do that a lot, then they can get really stuck. It just gets a bit stiff and a bit sticky. So a lot of what we're doing really will focus a little bit more on trying to get the shoulder blades to move. And yeah, I'm trying to get the shoulder blades to move. I might say more on it as we go. All right, so find your first comfortable seat, whatever that is. Let the hands and the arms just rest wherever feels comfortable, and hopefully they can come to rest in a way that allows the shoulders to be heavy. So shoulders not scrunching up by the ears, not feeling like you're kind of restricting space across the chest, but hopefully a little bit of openness, and again that sense of the collarbones and the shoulders resting down. And with your eyes closed, just take a moment to notice how you're feeling, what your experience is of being in this particular moment. And it might be that the immediate response or the immediate thing you're aware of is perhaps a physical sensation. Maybe it's to do with your energy levels. Maybe it's your mindset, your thoughts. And whatever's going on for you, however you might be feeling, can we practice for the next hour without ignoring that? Can we practice in a way which acknowledges whatever is going on for you? And that might mean maybe taking things a little bit more gently. It might be being a little bit more disciplined with some things. Maybe you want to enhance some of the things that you're feeling already. Maybe you want to see if you can use the practice to slightly shift or adjust something. Start to become more aware of your breathing. And just seeing if there's any space to breathe, perhaps a little bit more softly or a little more slowly. Perhaps you're thinking of drawing your inhale all the way down into your belly. Maybe you're taking that sort of diaphragmatic breath that we worked with the last couple of weeks. It doesn't matter, you can't do it wrong. It's just finding something that feels good, feels like it is comfortable, calming, but maybe takes just a little bit of conscious effort. And I'd like you to keep a little bit of an eye just on how your breath changes as you move through your practice. So there'll be times when you suddenly notice that maybe the breath has become held or has become shorter, or you might find that you're suddenly letting out, a big sigh without really kind of trying or meaning to. There is, of course, this kind of argument for a very conscious, controlled, continuous style of breathing throughout your practice. But on the flip side, the body is very, very instinctive, very intuitive. So perhaps there is an argument for allowing your body to breathe in the way that it feels is most appropriate for what you're doing. Just see perhaps if you could smooth your forehead, relax your jaw, shoulders. The jaw is tight. It has the potential to just add a little bit of muscular tension down through the sides of the neck and across the top of the shoulders. So as much as possible, keep checking in with that jaw. But have a little moment just to move anything that you feel needs it, just a few seconds, before you then start to make your way into a child's pose. So you'll have your hips on your heels. If it's comfortable for arms to reach towards the top of the mat, then great. If that's a bit much, maybe through the low back, you can always rest onto the forearms. Knees could be narrow, could be wide. As you settle into your child's pose again, just noticing how you're feeling. Noticing your breath. Maybe directing your breath as you inhale, think of taking that breath more into the back of the body, the back of the ribs. Does that give you any sort of subtle sensation of stretch? And maybe thinking of letting go of any tension, any stiffness with the out breath. And then from there, walking both hands around towards the left. And just maybe thinking of reaching the right arm a little bit further, but making sure you keep the right sit bone heavy onto the right heel. Hopefully getting a bit of a stretch through the right side of the body. And once again, maybe thinking of breathing into wherever you feel that sensation. And then when you're ready, switching sides. Gently walking the hands around to the left. Again, keeping the left sit bone heavy, maybe reaching a little further through the left arm. Again, finding that balance between the sensation that you feel, how strong it is, and how comfortably you can still breathe, or how effectively perhaps you can still breathe. And then gently coming back to center and back into a comfortable seat. And once you find that comfortable seat, just going to start to move your right shoulder. We're going to start fairly small. Just rolling, maybe forwards and backwards, changing direction. Maybe every 2 or 3 circles. You can notice the jaw starts to become tight. Try and keep the jaw relaxed. Do those circles feel smooth, comfortable? Are there any bits that feel a little bit sticky or maybe a bit sore? As you move your shoulder, do you feel sensations anywhere else? Maybe into the neck or the arm, or to the side of the body down to the waist perhaps. You're going to gradually start to make those movements a little bit bigger. You might start to get perhaps a bit of a stretch across the front of the chest. Again, just checking in with your breathing. I know for me, shoulder stuff, I really tend to hold my breath quite a lot. Trying to just remind myself to let that breath go and take another one whenever I need to. And again, making those circles, those movements even bigger. So starting to get the whole arm involved, changing direction kind of at will. They don't have to be perfect circles either. And carrying the arm around so we're not swinging it. You're going to come to pause with the right arm up in the air. Take a little moment, and then your left hand from there will come down to the mat, and you'll start to take it into a side bend. If the top right arm is relaxed, it might bring a little bit more ease into the shoulder. If that arm is a little bit more active, you might feel it more again over the side of the body. But coming back up to center, close your eyes, let the arms just rest for a second and notice how that right side feels in comparison to the left. Maybe it's warmer or more tingly. There might be a sense in your mind's eye of the left shoulder and left arm almost being bigger, taking up more space. But when you're ready, same thing on the other side. So left shoulder, just starting to roll, starting fairly small. Keeping the jaw relaxed. If you meet any strong sensations, any parts of that movement that feel particularly uncomfortable, then how do you want to address that? Is it something that you want to kind of gently work into, or is it something that you're just going to avoid? So just because something feels stronger than something else doesn't mean that that's better necessarily. So gradually making those movements a little bit bigger. Particularly, I think when it comes to physical movement, we can get a little bit caught up in, if it doesn't hurt, if it doesn't burn, if we don't feel like we're going to die, then it's probably not useful, it's not effective. So maybe retraining a little bit to not always go for the most stressful all the time. And does it feel pretty similar right side to left? Does this feel very different? Is it kind of juddery? Is it smooth? And gradually working that whole arm into the circle. Maybe you can feel a little bit the shoulder blade moving over the back of the ribs. Is that something you can start to tune into already? Again, gradually pausing with that left arm up towards the ceiling and taking yourself over into a side bend. Anything that feels comfortable or useful. Again, I think I tend to use comfortable as my sort of go-to word. Comfortable, useful, effective. And that's going to depend on your kind of your mood, your energy levels, on what you want to get out of the practice. Okay, so again, gently making your way back up to center. Again, a little pause, eyes closed, arms resting. And just tuning into those sensations as they settle into the left shoulder, left arm, left side of the body. And then you're going to make your way into a tabletop position, so coming to all fours. From that all fours position, you're going to thread the needle. So back of the right hand is going to slide underneath the left arm. The right side of the face comes down towards the floor or a mat maybe. Just lightly tuck your chin in towards your chest. Then if it feels okay, you're going to walk your left hand towards the front of your mat. Again, make sure the chin is just slightly tucked down towards the chest, and maybe see if you can roll that left shoulder back. That might mean that you change the placement of the left hand, as if you want to spiral your chest open just a bit more towards the ceiling. And then you're going to start to gently roll, hug,
that left armpit down towards the mat. So that might mean that you change. So instead of looking underneath your left armpit, maybe bring your forehead or your chin down towards the mat. As if you're trying just gently to encourage the chest to become flat towards the floor. But again, it's a kind of an inviting, a hugging, as opposed to a pressing, a pushing, a forcing. Noting how that feels, the back of your right shoulder, through the left armpit. Can you still breathe quite freely? Then gently making your way back up to all fours. And switching sides. The back of the left hand slides underneath the right armpit. Your left side of the face will come down to your mat or your block. Again, chin just slightly tucked down into your chest. We're maintaining a bit of space in the cervical vertebrae, so between the vertebrae and the neck. Right arm reaches towards the top of your mat. And then just seeing perhaps about rolling the right shoulder back. So if you want to spiral your chest open towards the ceiling a little bit more. And then starting to just gently ease the right armpit down towards your floor. So changing the position of your head if that's kind of inhibiting or uncomfortable. And again, gently coming back to all fours, maybe just sitting back onto the heels for a moment, either letting the shoulders settle or just kind of rolling them a little bit, shaking them out. You're going to come back to all fours and just take a few rounds of cat-cow. Or your chosen spinal warm-up, actually. If you want to do something else, if you want to go off-piste, do your own thing, then please do. But otherwise, cat-cow, the in-breath to lift the sit bone, send the chest forward, and the out-breath to tap the tailbone to the floor and round the spine. As always, you could be moving one movement to breath, one movement to one breath, or you can take a little bit longer over it if that feels good for you, particularly in the morning. But however you're choosing to move your spine, just bring a little bit of attention to your shoulders. How are they feeling? So as you move the spine, the shoulder blades are not staying fixed to one particular point. So although the arms and the shoulders are stable, we're creating that stability, the shoulder blades themselves will be moving just a little. Is what's giving this the freedom, or is part of what's allowing us the freedom to move our spine. When you're ready, starting to make your way back again into a comfortable seat. Maybe this time cross-legged. It doesn't matter too much. Okay, so as you settle into your seat again, you're going to take your right arm and you're going to lasso over your head. So I'm actually mirroring. I'm just going to switch. Right arm over the head. Cool. So as the right arm is lassoing, for now, if you can, going forwards or anti-clockwise, yeah. We're trying to make sure that the shoulder and the shoulder blade are moving over the body. So if possible, think of initiating that movement from the shoulder. So it's not the wrist, it's not the elbow. But again, that movement is coming from the torso. Great. And then you're going to take that right arm across towards the left knee or the left thigh, or the left arm towards the back of the body. Take a little twist, but instead of lifting up, I'd like you to just lightly draw the belly in, draw the low ribs down, and allow the chest to soften down. So there's a slight rounding of the spine.
assuming that feels comfortable. Notice if the hips have become tight, if the knees have lifted higher, see if you can just relax the hips a little bit. You're going to bring the body back to center. Same right arm, same arm as you're just using is going to lasso in the opposite direction. So backwards or clockwise, using the same arm as you were a moment ago, just in the opposite direction. Same thing, see if you can move the shoulder blade in order to move the arm, as opposed to moving the arm and then the shoulder blade doing something or nothing, depending on what's going on. Great, and then you're going to open that right arm towards the back of the room. This time a little bit more lift up through the spine, but could you still encourage the shoulder blades to be a little bit heavy? And still keep the low ribs just lightly drawing into the body, just a touch, a fraction. Nice, and coming back to center, if you are cross-legged, just switch your legs. And we'll go on the other side. So left arm circling forwards to begin with, so that's clockwise this time. But again, instead of moving the arm as our focus, trying to move the shoulder blade, and whatever happens with the arm is sort of a byproduct. And just check out what's happening with your breath. Check out whether the jaw's becoming tight. Mine really wants to just clench. And then when you're ready, left arm coming around towards right knee, right thigh, right arm behind you. And as you find that twist again, we're going to create that slight curve in the back of the body. So belly button in, low ribs down, chest softens down. Slight rounding of the back of the body, try and soften the hips. Let the knees become heavy. And again, as you come back to center, reversing your lasso. I'm about to make a really inappropriate joke. I'm going to say it anyway. Reversing your lasso, not a reverse cowgirl, because that's a very different thing. But anyway, continuing to reverse that lassoing action. Gliding shoulder blade over the back of the body. And then opening that left arm against the back of your room. Little twist. Again, this time a little bit more lift in the spine. Try and make sure, again, the shoulders can still be heavy. So that might mean changing what you're doing with your arms. Again, the arm is not the focus. The shoulders are the focus. Low ribs just lightly into the body, so we're not kind of arching or dumping into the low back. Great. And again, coming back to center, a little moment, maybe to pause, maybe to shake it out. And then when you're ready from here, making your way into a downward facing dog. Nice, so finding that downward facing dog. Hands lightly pushing towards the top of the mat, sit bones lifting high. A little bit of drawing in of the abdominals. Again, if you want a little bit more space and length through the low back or the hamstrings, then knees bent and heels allowing to lift away from the mat. Again, maybe just checking what's happening with the low ribs as well. So just perhaps lightly hugging them back into the body again, just getting those upper abdominals a little bit more switched on. And then we're going to take the same vinyasa variation as well that we took last week. So when you're ready, coming forwards to your high plank position with an in-breath, coming all the way down into your belly with an out-breath. Lifting the thighs with an inhale, setting them down on an exhale, lifting the chest with an inhale, maybe repositioning the arms, hands rather. Exhale to release, inhale, little locust, hands might be on or off the floor as the chest and the thighs lift. So exhale to release, and then making your way back once more into a downward facing dog. Right, once you're in that down dog, you're going to lift your right leg, give yourself some time there. In that three-legged dog, you know, do you want to bring any movement in? Do you want to open the hips? Do you feel like the body has got the support that it needs? And then when you're ready, stepping the right foot outside of your right hand. Now your back knee can stay lifted. If your back knee stays lifted, little bend in the knee, or back knee can come down. We're going to circle, hula hoop the hips. 2 or 3 times in each direction, nice and steady, not kind of swinging or collapsing through the bottom of the circle, but carrying the pelvis all the way around, controlling each part of that circle to some degree. And don't rush, but once you've gone in each direction, you are then going to pop your back knee down, and your right arm, so same arm as leg that's in front, is going to take, again, maybe 2 or 3 big circles in each direction. So it doesn't matter which way you go first. But again, can we think a little bit less about the right arm and a little bit more about the right shoulder blade? Making sure you've got a little bit of support switched on for the low back, so maybe just lightly drawing the belly in, teeny hug of the glutes perhaps. But once you've done your circles, 2 hands to the inside of your right foot, tuck your back toe and lift your knee. You're going to walk your hands 90 degrees to your left, turning the toes as you go to the long edge of your mat, and bend your left knee. So you've got the hands there for support, left knee is more bent, right knee is more straight. You might stay here, you might want to turn the toes out, the heels in, take it into a little bit more of a Skandasana, whatever you want. Hips might be super high, they might be very low, you might even be sitting on the floor again. It's going to be really varied, depending on how your body is feeling and kind of what you can be bothered to do, you know, how much energy have you got to give to this. When you're ready, you're going to walk the hands back to the top of your mat, coming into that lunge with the right foot forwards, stepping back into your down dog, so really pushing the hands towards the top of the mat, pushing the hands forwards to help send the hips back, and moving through that vinyasa variation again. The in-breath to come forwards, the out-breath to lower down, any way you like. Inhaling to lift the thighs, exhale to release, inhale to lift the chest. Exhale to release. Inhale, full body. Exhale to release, making your way back into your down dog. So particularly if some of those lifts in that vinyasa variation feel a little bit kind of like a slap in the face on a Saturday morning, instead of going for, I'm going to lift as high as I can, maybe change it to, how comfortable can I make this feel? And just changing that kind of that priority or that focus. The left leg is going to lift, 3-legged dog. Again, breathe, pay attention to how it's feeling. If it feels stressful, where does that stress come from? It might mean that you just need to pay a little bit more attention to particular points in the body, maybe the shoulders or the abdominals or the glutes. Do you need a bit more engagement, a bit more focused support? Or is it something that you're able to find a bit of calm? But stepping your left foot outside of your left hand. Again, back knee up or down, but if back knee is raised, a little bit of a bend as you circle, hula hoop the hips. So legs will be working, and you might find that the arms are working quite hard. And that's not a bad thing. Trying to kind of spread the load, if you like, spread the workload of supporting the pelvis throughout the body. But bringing the hips back to center, dropping your back knee. Don't rush if you haven't finished, but your left arm then will take 2 or 3 circles in each direction. And if you feel it in your low back at all, making sure the abdominals are pulling in. Also trying to make sure that right arm is quite strong, so pushing down into the floor with the right arm to create some stability in the shoulder. Once you've done your circles, 2 hands to the floor, pick up your back knee, and you're walking the hands all the way around to the right, turning the toes as you go, bending your right knee. And again, having a little kind of play around here as to what feels good for you. And then again, walking the hands back around to the top of your mat, into your lunge, the left foot in front, stepping back to your down dog, vinyasa variation. If at any point you're like, I do not want to take a vinyasa, or I don't want to take this particular variation, you don't have to. It's always an option. Again, you've got the lift of the thighs, the lift of the chest, the lift of both. And then either walking hands to feet or feet to hands. So you find yourself in a forward fold. As always, do you want to take a bit of time in that fold? Is it ragdoll? Do you want something a little bit stronger? And what are the sensations that you're meeting? Trying to get out of your headspace of, if I do this thing, if I do it in this way, it will be better. And instead, how is this feeling in my body? How could it feel better? And that might be, how could it feel easier? It might be, how could it feel stronger? How could it feel safer? When you're ready, making your way up to standing, any way that you like. But when you get up to standing, just take the arms straight out in front of you. Arms completely straight, so we're not going to use the arms themselves. We're going to be using, again, the shoulders. But imagine arms are completely straight. You have your hands on a wall or a person or a thing, and you're going to push that thing away from you. And then release. And again, push away and release, but not using the arms. Arms stay completely straight. Push and release. If you want to take it a little bit further, you're going to push away and then squeeze the shoulder blades back. Push away, squeeze the shoulder blades back. So this is really good to get the shoulder blades moving. Give the arms a little shake, and then you're going to take the arms up above your head. Same thing. So you're going to push the ceiling away from you, arms completely straight, and then release. Push away, and then release. Push away, and then release. If you want to, you can always explore pushing away, and then shrugging down. Pushing away, shrugging down. Try and make sure the arms aren't too close at the top. Cool, and then again, just let the arms go. Shake it all out. And a little bit more time for the spine. So have maybe a minute or so, just exploring what we did again for the last couple of weeks, rolling down, rolling up, or swan diving down, rippling up, maybe a combination of all of them. Again, a bit more time to just get into your spine and to reconnect with this idea of it being a collection of pieces that can move, or we can encourage them to move independently. Thinking about how the legs and the lower body help to facilitate and support that movement. Orientation of the pelvis is going to have an impact on what's happening with the spine. Okay, and we're going to try one action 2 different ways, because I never quite know how to explain it. So the first way we're going to try is we're going to start with the pelvis. So you're going to bend your knees, tuck the tailbone under, push the pelvis forwards, and then when you sort of reach maximum-ish, you're going to tilt the sit bones back, push the sit bones, pull the hips back, tuck them under, Tailbone under, push the hips forwards. Release tailbone, pull the hips back. So you're sort of creating, it might be quite small, this kind of snaking action. So in a similar way that we might in cat-cow, try and initiate a movement in the spine through, or initiate it with the pelvis. We're sort of doing the same here, moving the pelvis and trying to allow the spine to respond and ripple and wave. Or you might just feel really weird. So let's try sort of same thing a different way. So this is what I come up with a kind of John Travolta sitch. So now it's going to go like 90s, 70s body rolling. So we're doing the same thing, but we're starting from the chest. And if you're happy, just go for it. But otherwise, you are lifting the face, lifting the chest, then dropping slightly head, shoulders, chest, back, closing the low ribs, knees are bending, pulling the tummy in. And then we're sending the crown of the head forwards. And up and back, chin to chest, head moves forwards. And up and back, chin to chest, head moves forwards. And I'm hoping that somewhere in amongst all of that, you've found your groove. Cool. How are we doing? Yeah? Cool. All right. So let's come to stand at the top of your mat. Well done. Shake out anything that needs it. Take the arms all the way up to the ceiling. Pull the shoulders, hug the shoulders up to the ears. And when you're ready, take it into a forward fold, hands down towards the mat, stepping back into a down dog. For your vinyasa variation, and that can be literally your vinyasa variation, whatever you want to take. But if you're coming with me, inhaling to come forwards to plank, exhaling to lowering. If you're ahead of me, keep going. Inhale to lift the thighs. Exhale to release. Inhale to lift the chest. Exhale to release. Where do we find the support? To lift the spine, lengthen. Inhale, lift the whole body. Exhale to release back into your downward facing dog. Okay. Once you're back in your down dog, take your time, but your right leg is going to lift. Again, just give yourself a moment to pay attention to how that three-legged dog feels. So maybe make a change. Before you then step your right foot towards the top of your mat, you're going to come up into a warrior two. So the right toes stay pointing forwards, dropping the back heel in and down, and opening the arms. Depending on how your shoulders are feeling, you can stay here, maybe turn the palms up so it's a bit more comfortable, or taking your cow-faced arm. So the right arm coming up and over the left hand, coming from beneath if you want to grab your strap. Now is the time. Don't worry if the fingertips don't meet. Chin slightly away from chest. Just check out what's happening with the legs. So we want the legs to be firm, feet pressing down and pressing away, so they're strong, they're stable. They're doing the work, so the upper body can be a little bit softer, have a little bit more ease. Good, keep breathing. But as you release the arms, straighten your right leg, turn the toes to the long edge of your mat. You're going to take a fold over your right leg. So your hands might be on the floor, you might be catching little toe edge of foot or shin or knee, whatever you can find, whatever feels okay. If it's enough, stay here. If you want something a little different, maybe bending your left knee. As you release, turning right toes to the top of the mat, turning left toes to the top of the mat, coming up into a high lunge. And from there, stepping forward into a chair pose at the top of your mat. So staying low in the legs, and the feet might come very close together. They might be more like hip distance apart. And then you're going to come to a balance. So pick up your left leg as you come to standing, and you might just hover that knee if you want to take it into a tree pose, turning left knee out to the side. And you've got that option. A little bit of focus. A bit gathering of your thoughts, refocusing to your breath. And you're going to make your way back into a down dog for a vinyasa. Your option, if you'd like it, is from your balance to step your left foot all the way to the back of the mat, nice and slow. Hands find the top of the mat. At the last minute, try and let the chest and shoulders drop or droop down. Stepping back into your down dog from there. Otherwise, any other way you like into your down dog for a vinyasa. Again, of course, that option is always there with the variation, lifting thighs, lifting chest, and a locust. You can, of course, take any variations or none at all. Good stuff, guys. I'm just going to spin myself around so I don't end up with my back to you. But once you're ready, once you're back in a down dog, the left leg is going to lift. And give yourself a moment. Actually pay attention to how that three-legged dog is feeling. Does anything need a bit more focused attention? Then stepping left foot towards the top of the mat, dropping the back heel in and down, rising up to your warrior two. Again, legs are strong, legs are firm, so the upper body then has a little bit more space, a little bit more ease to find those arms. Left arm from above, right arm from below. Again, option is there if you wanted to grab your strap. Maybe thinking consciously of breathing into the shoulders and breathing out to let go of any stiffness, any tightness, any resistance. And again, as you release the arms, straighten your left leg, turn the toes to the long edge of your mat, folding down over the left leg, holding on to whatever is accessible, and maybe staying here, or perhaps bending your right knee. Again, as you release, straightening left leg, turning toes to the top of your mat, coming up into a high lunge, and from there stepping into a chair pose at the top of your mat. So really pushing down through the left foot, maybe even down through the left heel to help with that shift. If your feet are together in your chair pose, hugging in. If your feet are apart, then just making sure the knees aren't knocking in towards each other, slightly bracing towards a little toe edge, but picking your right leg up to come into your balance. Balance of choice. Before again you make your way back into your downward facing dog. So once again, any way you like, but your option is to really take a slow lunge towards the back of the mat. So really using the power in the left leg, keeping the spine nice and long, not letting it become too droopy. Once you're back in your down dog, vinyasa of choice. Again, that option to lift the thighs, then lift the chest, then lift the whole body. And once you're back in your down dog, we're going to go again. So the right leg is going to lift. You're going to step it towards the top of the mat, rise up into your warrior two. And again, maybe take those cow face arms on the right side. Option to stay here. Option to see if you can keep your arms, but take yourself into a half moon. So I would definitely recommend, if you're going to go for that balance, that you start shuffling your left foot in, looking towards the top of the mat, nice and steady, shifting the weight onto your right leg, reaching, lifting, lengthening the left leg, up and back, trying to keep hips and torso turned towards the long edge of your mat, keep those low ribs tucked in. See if you can land back in your warrior two. Slow bend of the right knee, step the left foot back, landing silently, effortlessly. Good, release the arms. Straighten your right leg, turn the toes to the long edge. Again, take that fold. Maybe a little bend in the left knee. And then releasing once again. Turn toes to the front of your mat. Come up into your high lunge. A slightly shorter, slightly wider high lunge, so it feels fairly comfortable. And now in this high lunge position, going for your John Travolta body rolls. And again, maybe you're starting with the head and the chest, maybe you're starting from the hips. You might find that you need to just change the position slightly of your legs. And then can your body rolling, body waving shift you into a warrior three? Balance might not be pretty, might not be graceful. That's okay, but finding that balance on the right leg. Before coming to chair pose again, top of the mat. Just a moment in your chair pose, but you're going to pick the left foot up again, find your balance. Nice and calm, and then coming back into your down dog again, that option to take it from your balance into a long, low lunge. Otherwise, any way that you like. And any vinyasa that you might like. Maybe have a little moment to rest if you need it, just a breath or two before we go into second side, or maybe you're just going to go straight on in. But when you're ready, down dog, lifting your left leg, get a little moment to pay attention to that three-legged dog. Before stepping left foot to the top of your mat, coming up again into your warrior two. Nice strong legs. Adding those arms on the top again is your option. Again, maybe you're just staying here. Bring a bit of attention into the shoulders, into what's going on for you. Otherwise, your option to move towards your half moon. Again, eye line towards the top of your mat, forwards and down. Taking your time to shift onto your left leg and lift that right leg nice and strong. Long way behind you. And seeing if you can slowly, softly step back into your warrior two. Once you get there, straighten the left leg, release the arms, folding over your left leg once again. Maybe a bend of the right knee. Releasing, turning your toes to the top of your mat, coming up into your high lunge, adjusting so that your high lunge is a little more cash, so you can then get your groove on. Again, maybe you're leading with the head lifting up, back, chin to the chest. Forwards, up, back, chin to the chest, or maybe you're starting with the hips. You might need to change the position of your legs. Definitely want bent knees, definitely want that back heel to be lifted. Otherwise, you're not going to have the same movement of your pelvis. And seeing if you can take your spinal noodling into a warrior three. Or stepping into a chair pose, right foot to the top of your mat. Just a little moment there before you take it into your balance, draw the right leg up with you. Making your way back into your downward facing dog for your vinyasa of choice. And when you're done, just coming all the way forwards to lie on your belly. Lie on your belly. So we're going to take another quick shoulder opener. So lying on your front, you're going to take your right arm straight out to the side. If you haven't got space, then bend the right elbow to 90 degrees. All right, so coming onto your belly, right arm is out, the left hand is underneath left shoulder, and you're using that left hand to push the floor away, roll onto the right side of your body. Try and relax the back of the neck. If this is enough, stay here. If it's too much, start to just roll a little bit back onto your front. If you want more twist, bend your knees. Maybe see if the sole of one or both feet can come to the floor, knees up to the ceiling. If you want more for your shoulders, keep your your right arm where it is. Don't move it, but take your left arm up and back behind you as if you wanted to catch your fingertips on the right hand. Chin just lightly tucked down towards the chest again. And then coming onto your belly once more, switching sides, so left arm, either straight out or that 90-degree bend, right hand underneath right shoulder. Make sure your left arm, or at least your left elbow, is in line with your left shoulder, not higher or lower. Push it with the right hand. Try and relax the neck if possible. Again, find what feels right for you for the front of that left shoulder, for the chest. Then if you want to, you've got options to add in bending the knees, planting the feet, right arm coming up and over. And this time as you come back onto your belly, just roll yourself, shimmy yourself onto your back. Once you are on your back, maybe a little stretch, maybe a little back bend, maybe you are just absolutely ready for Shavasana. So we're probably going to finish 2 or 3 minutes late, 2 or 3 minutes past 9. So I hope that's okay. If it's not, if you need to jump off now, then that's fine. I know, Freddie, you need to go. There's always a little moment for you to just do what you want, what you need before you take your Shavasana. You find your way into your Shavasana, trying to encourage the body to soften, to let go of effort. To go from a place of doing to a place of being.
Noticing if you could just start to deepen your breath. Bring movement back into your body in any way that feels good. Just taking your time as much as you need to find your way back up to a seat. When you do find that seat, just making sure you're comfortable. Taking a moment with the eyes closed. Again, to just notice how you're feeling without trying to ignore anything or change anything. And maybe seeing if you can move into the next part of your day in a way that is kind of true to whatever you're feeling at the moment. So I appreciate that might not be possible. Anyway, thank you very much, you guys. I hope everything's feeling all right. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. And I'll see you for more shoulder and grooving next weekend. Okay. See you later, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Very much. Take care.
And you too. Bye.